For today's talk, my group will touch on the theme of social issue. Before I tell you guys the topic that will be covered today, let me first introduce you guys to my fellow friends that will be joining me. First we have is Iman Najat, followed by Nur Azrin, Iza Achira, Awang Kuzaini, and last but not least, Noraniza Baharuddin. So, for today's talk, my group will talk on the topic called COVID-19 Society versus Depression. To get this gear started, let me give you some insight on the meaning of society and depression. So, as we know, society is the community where we communicate and socialize with, while depression is a form of mental health that affects the neurology of a person that makes them feel less of themselves and extreme emotion. Dear friends, do you know during this chaotic pandemic COVID-19, symptom of people undergoing depression is believed to have raised 3 times higher since the pandemic. And according to recent study in the US, it has raised from 8.5% to 27.8%. And this does not only happen in the US, it also happened in Malaysia where it has raised from 6.7% to 14.4% in cases involving depression since pandemic COVID-19. Saying all of this, I would really love to hear from my fellow friends that join me today on what their takes and opinion on this matter that lead to this increasing number of percentage. Really, guys?
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Iman Najat binti Ibrahim with the ID of D2019 209 09 and 55. Well, first of all, I'm truly honored getting to be here with other great panelists. I have to admit that generally everyone feels off during a pandemic. That's expected and very normal. This unexpected home quarantine and the lockdown, along with the uncertainty of academic and professional careers, has had a variety of effects. Out of all people in the society, I think students contribute the most in the raising percent of the cases involving depression. Why? With this ongoing pandemic, students need to go through the learning session using a virtual platform such as laptops and smartphones. Students were asked to go back to their hometowns as staying in college was prohibited. We all know that not everyone can own a laptop and a smartphone. Having to find ways to join the class is a bit of a hassle, and Wi Fi is also needed for a stable connection. So, to answer the question, generally it is because the difficulty in concentrating in every way possible, such as students cannot concentrate in listening to what the teacher or the lecturer is speaking due to the bad connection. Other example which contributes as another answer to this question is students also don't know how to manage time properly, between studying and house chores or maybe taking care of other siblings. This leads to an unstable academic performance, which can also lead to major depressive behavior among students. With that being said, I think students have the worst impacts during a pandemic as they must learn to organize their schedule well in order to have a stable mental health.
Okay, I think that one is a very interesting point, I must say, Miss Iman. We can see that the students really having it hard during this pandemic. As for me, I believe that depression occurs in the society due to the act of grieving for loved one. So by the term loved one here, of course, I mean family members, partners, or friends, anyone that is very close to you. We all know that this pandemic actually has created a distance between individuals. It's like family members are separated because we cannot go anywhere as usual. We have the movement control order, the MCO, but now we don't have that anymore, thank God. However, during the MCO, we cannot cross the state or go overseas to meet our families and friends. Plus, we can also see the rising cases of death due to the virus infection. So many people lost their loved one because of COVID-19. So this whole situation actually causes people to grieve, to let their sadness take control over them. And finally, they fall into depression if they do not get any help from anyone. So that's from my view of how this mental illness can occur in the society.
Yes, I do agree with Azrin's opinion. And my thoughts on this, among the causes of how stress occurs in society are first, individuals who tested positive for COVID-19. This is due to anxiety about the disease, uncertainty about healing, feeling guilt as it may be the cause of the disease spreading to others, as well as having to be in the hospital for a long time. Second, involvement of medical personnel, especially the frontliners. So, the exposure to COVID-19 positive patients raises concerns about disease risk, long working hours, and busy times when disaster and causes fatigue and the inability to take leave. So, seeing those infected with the pandemic and dealing with severe cases will exposes them to stress and trauma. And many studies have been conducted on the psychological impact of an epidemic or disaster. One of it is according to a recent study published in the International Journal of Research and Public Health. 53.8% of respondents reported moderate to severe psychological consequence, and majority of respondents stated that they stayed home for 20 to 24 hours per day, and also the studies reveal that women, students, and specific physical symptoms had a greater psychological impact. And for those with accurate knowledge of the pandemic, as well as the precautions that should be taken, on the other hand, have a lower psychological impact. Yeah, that's all for me.
I see. Thank you, Iman, Azrin, and Iza, for your input and brilliant point. I can really see those reasons leading to the increasing number of percentage. Well, before I move on to the next topic or issue, what about the other two? What about my other two fellow friends, Awanku and Nuraniza? What are your input?
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I'm on presenting panel number 4 will answer the question from moderator. I have a 2 point to answer the question, which is how and why depression occur in the society, especially during the pandemic breakdown. The first thing is a complicated lifestyle. As we can say that if we compare lifestyle before COVID-19, our life is more freely before the outbreak. After COVID-19 spread in our country, many precaution, pre-order, many precaution SOP and precaution restriction are created, and all community must follow the rule, such as using mask, social distancing, and using a hand sanitizer. This pandemic situation make a major depression to our society because the complicated lifestyle as we call as a new norm. Due to my first point, all people must scan QR code My Sejahtera before enter the place. This makes all people, especially for low-income families or poor family, having difficulty to live because they must have the smartphone to enter the all places. Due to mandatory, My Sejahtera just like second identification card for us. These two reasons can give people depressed, especially during the pandemic situation. That's all from me. I will give this floor to the next panel.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning guys. My name is Noniza binti Baharudin with the ID number D201920909141. Okay, well, as for my opinion for this topic, I would say that being in a
I'm sorry
dysfunctional...
to interfere. Hello, Norenza.
Hello?
Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrongly. Yeah? Well, so
It's okay.
something wrong with your camera?
Yes, sir. I need to choose between I want to use the camera only or the mic only. If I use both, I might get kicked out from this meeting.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm very sure.
Why don't you just try to
We,
switch it
we,
on?
we did we did a mic
Oh,
and
you
camera
did the
test
test, is it?
before.
Okay, then fine. Okay, fine. Carry on. Okay.
Sorry, sir. Well, as for my opinion for this topic, I would say that being in a dysfunctional relationship also can be a reason as for why depression occurs in society, especially during this pandemic. Since catastrophe are known to have an impact on relationship as well as on mental health. As the COVID-19 virus has spread quickly throughout the world, our government has implemented restrictions such as social distancing and lockdown to prevent the spreading of the virus. But they seem to have negative impact on our society's mental health. Because of lockdown, people cannot go out, whether it's for trip, vacation. Well, they are not even allowed to go outside of their house, right? From here, I will give you guys a few examples for this dysfunctional relationship. As for married couple, they have to face their partner 24/7, and it can be very stressful to stay cope in the same house without going out as usual. Usually your partner will go out for work, but suddenly you have to see them like 24/7. It is bearable if it's only for 1 or 2 weeks, but months, guys, months. If it was me, I'll just stay cope in my room and only go out to eat or something, just like that. Well, not only for partners, many parents also have experienced pressures because they are concerned about finance, social isolation, as well as what is it again? Emotional experiences like sadness and loneliness that can affect their parenting, or worse, maybe divorce. It can be very exhausting for their minds, and sooner or later they will undergo depression. Not only for parents, it will also pressure their children because of their parents' sudden change of attitude, and it will also lead them to get depression. What happened to the kids when their parents ignore them, neglecting them? I don't know how to say it, but dysfunctional relationship can be one of the reason why depression occur in society. Well, that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuraliza, and thank you, you guys, the other guys, for your input on giving us the insight why or how this percentage have increases during the pandemic. Moving on, moving on. Classmate that I adore. Since we are on this topic, let me share you some of the information that I have found on the internet while surfing the other day. Do you know? Depression is an illness that can affect a person's life along with their ability to function in the society. It also comes with many kinds. And what is interesting that each different types of depression can affect a person's mental health differently. So according to Cleveland Clinic, depression is a medical condition that affects our mood and ability to function in our daily life. They also explain that depression consists of many types, such as clinical depression, bipolar depression, dysthymia, seasonal affective disorder, and more. And like I mentioned before, different types come with different harm, depends on its severity. So, dear friends that join me today, what are your thoughts when I give you this statement? Depression can be harmful to a person's mind, depends on its severity.
Okay, well, like Husna said just now, depression is technically a mental disorder, but it also affects your physical health and well-being. People who have depression report struggling to recall particular memories. This suggests that depression can affect different types of memory, including declarative and autobiographical memories. They also struggle with executive function, which is responsible for skills that help people focus on tasks, pay attention, and self-monitor their behavior. Generally, memory loss is heavily linked to your emotional and mental well-being. When you're stressed or anxious, the supply of blood to your brain is restricted since your body is inputting memory first. This is why it's so difficult to concentrate or think clearly when you're depressed. It has also been linked to short-term memory loss in studies. Well, I think that depression can be harmful to a person's mind because the person may lose self-confidence and be embarrassed by the difficulties due to memory loss. They may begin to withdraw from social situations or stop doing things they usually do. Memory loss can also lead to people misplacing items that they then might think others might have moved or stolen. This can sometimes cause anger and mistrust in them. While this may lead to a critical depressive behavior, such as damaging themselves, but that is another matter to justify. However, it is confirmed that depression can be harmful to a person's mind depends on the severity of it. People who notice the symptoms of a depression better get themselves treated before it gets worse.
Uh, yes, I do agree with Miss Iman because we often see this trait in people who have depression. So for me, depression can be very harmful to a person's mind, and it depends on the severity of it. It's like the more severe the depression is, the more damaging it is for the person's mind. So severe depression would cause the person to think about something that is damaging to them, something negative, horrible things. Most of them start to think that life is no longer meaningful for them. Nothing interests them anymore. They have no reason to live, and some cases just think of wanting to end their lives. So this is very dangerous because it may lead to them committing suicide. So that's why I said that it can be very harmful to a person's mind, depending on the severity of the depression itself.
Thank you, Iman. Thank you, Azrin, for sharing your thoughts regarding this statement. So, without calculating the severity of depression itself, I guess harm can still be inflicted towards a person's mental health when dealing with depression. So, going back to the society, believe it or not, a depressed person can be anyone in our society. It can be your mother, your father, your friends, even the stranger talking to you right now. Especially when we are dealing with stress every day, excluding the pandemic stress itself, and no age or background are immune to it. In New Straits Times on October 10, 2020, it had been reported on a headline of almost 500,000 Malaysians depressed, nearly 500 suicide attempts that year. And on 2019, National Health and Mobility Survey also recorded that 500,000 Malaysians experienced symptoms of depression. Reading all this news, hearing all this news, doesn't it bother you guys? Because it bothers me. So, because of this, dear friends, how can we identify a person that is undergoing a problem as heavy of depression in our society?
Okay, how can we as a society identify a person undergoing depression? Okay, for me, first of all, the person will look tired and frequently complains of exhaustion. Okay, constant fatigue is a common side effect of depression, and it is not a problem for everyone who has this disorder, but it is very common. Similarly, if a person has undiagnosed depression, the source of fatigue can be perplexing. They can sleep for a long time and wake up feeling as if they only slept for a few hours. Worse, they blame themselves, believing that their weakness stems from laziness or some other personal flaw. This is also a difficult symptom to hide for those who have been diagnosed with depression. But they try to keep it hidden from friends because it always affects work and personal relationship. Second, people who have a short temper. Okay, depression is frequently associated with a short temper, and this behavior may be misinterpreted as melancholy, even though it is not the case. This is due to the fact that depression is a medical condition that cannot be seen or measured. So, if someone we know discovers they are depressed and shares their problems with us, we are likely to be perplexed at first. If the previous behavior does not fit with people's normal perception of depression, which is characterized by shyness and reticence. If they are easily irritated and find things annoying, this is one of the side effects of depression.
Okay, I totally agree with Isa's opinion. Yes, People who have a short temper actually can become a person who have depression. But what if people have a reverse expression? By mean, like to be alone at times when people are having fun. The person who has depression always avoid lively situations such as a party, chatting with friends, and so on. Not at all will not at all will not all people who have a same solution. Certain people who have a problem, they will share their problem to others people such as families, friend, counselor, and so on. But for depression people, they prefer to avoid connection to other people and always to be alone if they have a problem. We as a friend can approach them slowly to decrease their insecurity about society. That's the point number one. For point number two is his or her own status in social media have a negative content or negative element. On social media, we can detect people that have depression by looking at their status, posting, reels, and comment. People who have depression will posting about a negative content. For example, their life situation, quotes about depression, give up with living, and so on. This situation will involve them to negative circle of life, and we as a community must give a positive comment to make them happy and grateful again before they choose the wrong path. That's all from me. I will give this stage to my friend.
Well, I agree with both of my friends' opinions. So I'm just going to add a few more points based on my opinion, my own opinion on how we can identify a person that is undergoing depression. Well, apart from what Iza already mentioned before, which is about tiredness and exhaustion, right? I'll just add a few more physical issues that we can consider in order to identify a depressed person. Number one is major change in weight, like you gain or loss of more than 5% of weight within a month. Number two is insomnia or excessive sleep almost every day. Number three, physical restlessness or sense of being run down that others can notice. Back pain, headaches, gut problems, or maybe slowing of physical movement and thinking. Those are those can be considered physical issue that we can try to use in order to identify a depressed person. Well, as for my second point is, we can also identify it through the loss of enjoyment in things that were once pleasurable for them. We can see it from their daily activities, like they start to feel not interested in their previous hobbies. Like all of their interests are gone. No more uh, no more happiness, no more fun in doing that hobby. From here, I will give you a few scenarios that can be that can be used as an example. The first one is you you used to love playing sports such as football, soccer, volleyball, and etc. in the evenings. But now you no longer have the desire to play the sport itself, or you don't have any desire to interact with anyone from your team. Or maybe in another scenario, cooking. Cooking. Your hobby is cooking. Cooking used to be your favorite hobby, but now you are not interested in it anymore. And even sometimes you have to remind yourself to eat because you kind of forgot about it. So, in a nutshell, we can say that this is the more valid reason on why we need to see doctors, because they can help us to figure out the source of our symptom, since this physical issue can be considered as a reliable indicators for depression. But okay, I will say this. But please, bear in your mind, guys, never try to self-diagnose in this situation because it can be that very dangerous. So please seek help from doctor, or maybe go for a simple checkup. That's all from me, my lovely moderator.
What happened to the moderator?
Please.
But I think you have presented all of your points, right? Right? Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, then we'll wait for the moderator. I think maybe she's having some internet problem.
Sorry for that. Sorry for that. My light suddenly was gone. Okay, moving on. Sorry for that. And thank you for Nuraniza, Iza Hajira, and
Is there more points from the panelists? No more points from the. Are there more points from the panelists? There's more points from the panelists. Okay. I think because she's stuck, let the next panelist just take over. Yeah.
Okay, so alright. I actually agree with Nora because in general, sometimes it might be because you are just feeling uninspired. In other cases, it might mean that you have lost interest in some of your old hobbies and need to explore some new passions. But sometimes this feeling can be a sign of a mental health condition such as depression. In this matter, I would prefer to talk more on depression as it kind of hits all of us during the pandemic. So, as I have said before, if you have lost interest in many of the things you once enjoyed, this may also be a sign that you are depressed. This can leave you feeling isolated, which can also make you prone to anxiety. So, who's the culprit here? In the case of the clinical depression, usually is a symptom referred to as anhedonia. This term refers to a loss of interest or pleasure. People will no longer enjoy activity that they used to like, such as hanging out with friends, enjoying a wonderful meal, playing board games, or even watching their favorite TV show. They may feel flat or empty and as a result have zero motivation to do anything. So to recap, if you have loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities, reach out for help. Clinical depression with anhedonia, if left untreated, can have serious consequences that make it difficult to function in our social, work, and school lives. Know that this isn't your fault. Depression is an illness.
Okay, that is a very good view, Miss Iman. So, in my opinion, depression can affect a person as a part of society in some kind of ways. We often see that once a person got depressed, they can no longer do their normal routine like the others. It's like what we usually do. We wake up in the morning, we interact with each other, we go outside and talk to our neighbors, we buy groceries. So we have this kind of interaction with the society, you know. So this social interaction is the thing that can make us unite as the society. However, in their cases, they are unable to do even a small task like brushing their teeth, taking a shower, and unable to interact with people in their surroundings. So most of the time, you can see that they tend to lock themselves up in their home or room, and they do not want to talk to anyone. So here, they are separating themselves and create a distance from the society. And sometimes this makes it even harder to reach out to anyone to get help with this illness. So this is how I think the depression can affect someone as a part of the society.
hello, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me now? Alright, sorry for that. And thank you, Iman and Azrin, for highlighting the effect of depression on its patient that can affect their life as a society, because we know, being a part of society, we always have the urge to socialize and contribute our worth to others. I'm sure you guys agree with me on that. So, but like Azrin said, Iman highlighted, depression may cause some challenges and resistance to its patient to achieve all of this. And what Iman and Azri have said are some serious effects depression can have on its patient when they are dealing with society. But what can we really expect since depression does fall into one of the severe mental health issue out there. So friends and classmates, admit it, not all illness is curable, and but in God will it can be reduced with help. But who should be the one lending a helping hand to these people, if not us, the society itself? But what can we do to help these people? These people that undergoing problem as heavy as depression, without actually scaring or alerting them.
Okay, we move on to how or what can we do to help a person that suffer from depression without alerting them. Okay, my thoughts on this. If you suspect someone you know is suffering from depression, you should contact them and try to help them. This conversation may be difficult to begin, but there are few things that can be said to make it easier. For example, I am here, I want to know your news, or are you not alone? Many people suffer from depression. I want to help, let's make an appointment with the doctor, or call or message me anytime if you want. But even if you are well intentioned, the person you wish to assist may not be open minded. So please understand that their behavior is not intended to offend you. However, you can try to provide ongoing support because over time your support may be acceptable, and focus on that individual's behavior and ways of treatment that can help. Most importantly, please get help from family and friends to keep in touch with them.
Okay, I totally agree with is I will add two tips about how or what can we do to help a person that suffer from depression without alerting them. In pandemic situation, charity is the most important to help people who are affected. Many people are fired because company cannot afford the salary of their own employee. It can lead depression situation for families that don't have any source income. So give them charity or money is the way that can cure depression and establish a close relationship with them. Like people say, we are Malaysia people are one big family. Hashtag keluarga Malaysia, hashtag kita jaga kita. Second, we can help them to afford therapies. In working situation, people or employee need to get the reward from the company, such as a holidays, vacation, or do what they like. This therapy will make their spirit will go up and want to work more than usual to get the reward. This method not only can be applied at workplace, but in school, teacher can make an event that can bring more happy to students to enjoy to go to school every day. These two things can help a person that suffer from depression without alerting them. That's all from me. Thank you, and I will give to the next to my friend.
Okay, actually, I do believe that by keeping in touch, providing supports, and helping them can be a great help for someone who is undergoing depression. But instead of doing those, for some of us, we are not very rich, right? So you can also help them by minding the words that you utter to them, because saying the right thing can also help them. Okay. So as for my 2 cents in today's discussion, I will share with you guys about what you should not say to a depressed person. Well, it can be a long sharing, but please bear with me, yeah, guys. So yeah, there are certain things that you should never say to a depressed person. Remember, guys, we are not an expert, so we don't know the basis. And if we do start giving them advices, it might actually be a bad advice for them, and eventually their condition can get a lot more worse than before. Okay. Well, back to my sharing. Sorry. Number one is don't ever tell them to look on the bright side. If you have a conversation with a depressed person, don't ever tell them, hey, look on the bright side. My friend, they are depressed, good. If they are able to look on the bright side, do you really think they would be depressed right now? That's the whole problem, bestie. They don't see a bright side. So just don't, okay? Because it might seem like you are insinuating that they are not a grateful person, and there you are judging them for not being a grateful person. What is it again? As for my number two is be patient. Oh, this is can be very dangerous actually. If someone has cancer, do you tell them to be patient or do you tell them to get treatment? Get treatment, right? See, same goes for depressed person. What are you implying when you say be patient, be patient, be patient? Are you judging them for being patient for when they are facing problem? No, right? No, right? So please don't tell them be patient, but instead you can help them. What is it? Why I can remember this point? Okay, number three. Number three is read this dua. I often heard this one in my own circle of Muslim friends. They always say, read this dua, read that dua right now. Right now, I'm not saying that dua doesn't have any effect because Allah says in the Quran, right, that the remembrance of Allah brings tranquility to the heart. But dear, dua is only a part of the solution to help them in order to get better. They still need to take medicine. They still need to go to see doctor. So don't ever go around telling people, recite this dua if you are depressed and then you will be fine. I don't know what happened in people's mind. There's one more statement like, be a little bit more religious. Bro, that is very dangerous statement. Please stop saying those things. Okay. And lastly, this one is my favorite. Just snap out of it. Hello? Do you guys think that there is button that the people can push? No, right? As if when you say, okay, Iza, I'm sorry to use your name there. Okay. Step out of it, Iza. And then Iza just go, oh, push that button. Then, what should I say there? Okay, Iza go and push that off button of that her depression, and there you have it. The happy-go-lucky Iza is back. Are you kidding me? Please, insensitive people, please. Just, what should I say? Just walk out of the door, please. Please. I don't need you right now. If you have never experienced depression, please, I'm begging you guys, please don't say that. It is very insulting and very insensitive, you know. I really hate, sorry, I'm not hating them. I just don't feel it's the right word to use for someone that are undergoing depressed, sorry. Okay. Nora. Okay, in conclusion, I'm sorry, Shami. In conclusion, as a civilized human being, please, mind your word. Watch your language because a wrong statement from you might cause an uproar in someone else's mind. So you better watch your language, people. Remember, words are sharper than swords, right? Okay, that's all from me. Sorry for ranting, guys.
Okay, thank you, Noraliza, for that. Words that we shouldn't say to a depressed person. Thank you. And also thank you for Iza and Awanku for sharing on how can we as a society can lend a helping hand to these people that we see in need of. Wait, let's just take a deep breath and calm ourselves. Okay, so moving on. Well, there you have it. Ways on how we as a society can lend a helping hand to these people we see need. If we don't have the money for charity or giving them reward, a kind gesture or a kind words and some resistance can help them too. So, to end, before I end it off, I would just like for you guys to take a deep breath, remember back all the information that have been shared by our fellow friends that have joined me today, and hopefully use it in the future to help those who we see need of to reduce the number of the increasing percentage involving depression cases, and so that to help our friends and family to be excluded from this increasing number, since especially since the breakup of the new mutation virus called Omicron that are hitting the roof now. With that, I once again thank my fellow friends for sharing their inputs and thoughts on this topic, and also for towards Sir Ramesh and my fellow classmate for lending your ears for us today. With that, I open the floor for questions and thoughts.
I'm hijacking the question part. I have a lot of questions actually, but I don't think we'll have time for all the questions. My questions alone. I'll start by panel, Okay. Anyways, this is a comment before I start. A very important topic. And before I go further, start talking, I better ask questions. Okay, so I want to start off with the first, no, not the first panelist, but the first in my list here. The question is for Iza. Okay, Iza, you mentioned just now that you can't really measure or see depression, right? You mentioned that, but it's a question. It's a question. Still, we can observe that, and people can diagnose that, right? So, what's your opinion on that when you say not measured, seen? What's your thoughts on that? Yeah.
Okay, my opinions for your question. Depression is cannot be measured because sometimes their behavior does not what I mean just not just short temper or looks tired, frequently complains of exhaustion. They can be perplexed at the same time. Yeah. That's
Okay.
my answer.
Okay, so that's only first question. I have another question. I'm actually trying to get you right just now. You said basically if you're well read, I don't know. Can you hear me clearly? Basically, if you're well read, can you hear me, Za? Okay. Basically, if you this is what you said. If you're well informed about COVID, you're well read about the COVID. The less depressive you become, the less you're less under pressure. Basically, that's what you said. Am I right? Right? That's what you mentioned just now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, unfortunately, in my case, the other way around. I read quite a lot about COVID and everything, and then the more I read, the more paranoid I get, I think. Just a comment on that. So it's okay. You do not need to answer that. And I like the fact that you brought up that infected by COVID actually can cause depression. I did not actually think about that in that particular manner. So okay, thank you, Isa. I'll move on to the second name here. It's Iman. Iman, I got quite a number of notes I made. Yeah, and thank you for the word Anhedonia. It is the opposite of hedonism. That particular word. Okay. For Iman, I want to ask you. You said that students. Okay, the depression for students. Some instances are caused by bad time management. Would you blame themselves for managing this timing? Yeah, just your opinion on that.
Would you blame uh
Did you get my question?
can you repeat?
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I understood from you. Okay. So you basically said that one of the reasons students are going through, or either students face depression or they undergo depression, is because of their time management. They don't manage time well, right? So is this particularly their own doing? Something they can improve themselves, or is this some surrounding factors or something? Yeah, that's what I want to know.
I think it's because of both. Because sometimes we have like classes and assignments that we cannot avoid, right? And sometimes it's because our own time management. I think yes.
So the both plays a role, you think? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, thank you, Iman. Wait. Do I have another question? Wait. No. Okay. I like this panelist and Noor Azrin's son. She mentioned grieving, but I'm not sure. Azrin, when you say grieving, is this particularly for COVID period, or when during normal times when you lose someone that you love and you still go through the process, or you're
Uh,
just focusing on COVID?
Actually, it can go both ways, but since our topic today is based on COVID-19 situation, so we are more focused on this COVID-19. And since COVID-19 has, I believe that COVID-19 really has caused many grief because we can see the death, the separation between family members. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you. I need to get your pronunciation right. Your name, no, Noranza. Is it? Can you pronounce your name for me, please?
Noraniza.
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 Noraniza. You were in my class last semester, right? Were you?
Yes,
Okay. So I remember last semester, so I couldn't pronounce your name. This semester, so I couldn't pronounce your name. Thank you for your very much emotional. No, I'm rephrasing that. Thank you very much for your passionate speech. That's the right word to use. I want you see when you're presenting, I need students to be interested in their presentation. That's very important for me. So thank you very much for that. But at one point you did sound a bit angry. I want your comment, especially on dysfunctional relationships. When you talk about dysfunctional relationship and the effect to depression, can you just like give us a brief idea on how this happens? Just give us short. You did give an example about dysfunctional relationship earlier, but I just want a brief idea how this dysfunctional relationship actually causes depression. Just give one brief comment. Yeah, that's it.
can I give one more example, like a brief example?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Like this, if you are sitting at home and you're just laying around on the sofa, couch or something like that, and then your mom come to you, why you don't do anything? Why you just sit down right there? Why? Just why? That's question. It's not like you don't have anything to do. You just feel like you are exhausted, and it can be considered that situation can be considered as dysfunctional relationship. Like your mom, I'm not saying my mom. I'm just saying that your mom don't understand you. Like you just want to rest for a while. You keep on working like 24 hours and not really 24 hours, like 12 hour, maybe 12 hour. You just sitting and doing works on laptop, phones, and then when you just try to take a little bit rest, you just sit down on couch or something, and then they say you don't do anything, just go exercise, just go something else, just go do something. It's not really it's not that you don't want to do it. You just want to rest for a while, that's it. Is it okay, sir?
You made me feel guilty. I just scolded someone yesterday, actually. My brother was on the couch watching Netflix. I came back home. I was very exhausted. I came back very late last night, and I started shouting. Because the house was in a mess. So I got angry. But in hindsight, yeah, you are true. He was busy actually the whole day, and he was having some problem at work, I think. But I got pissed off. I come from work, I want the house to be clean. So yeah, okay, you made sense. Thank you, thank you. No Raniza. Okay, no Raniza.
Okay, you're welcome,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, final question. I This is something new, Awangku brought. the fact that you scanning, okay lah, okay, if you're talking about people who do not have smartphones, okay, I agree. But personally, Awanku, do you think the fact that you had to scan temperature, you have to scan my sejata adds stress to you personally?
In personally, I'm actually stressed because we compared to before COVID, we can enter the place uh, without scan Mesjatra, what is it called, uh, scanner. So if the places is more than what is more than if we want to go to building and we we want to enter the place, so we just are waiting for another person that inside the building go outside. So that's the point because the depression is
Okay,
I can
okay,
relate.
you made this point. I remember I was at Aeon, and this person was trying to scan at he couldn't scan, he was doing it wrongly, and I was at the back of the lane. I was rushing into Aeon to buy something, I can't recall what was it. I was at the back. I was getting angry, I felt like taking the phone and scanning it for him. Okay, okay, okay. And then
Yes,
maybe it might lead to depression eventually.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, you have to do more things, and yeah, I don't like, and I get irritated when people one time I actually scolded one person. He was entering this place. He was entering the restaurant. He used his hand. I said, "Buat apa pakai tangan?" Eh? And then he was like looking at me and just kept quiet and walked off. But anyways, yeah, so yeah, phone starts to lag. I don't know. Sometimes if I'm in front of the line and I have issues with my phone, I start to panic. People are waiting, looking at me. Especially the aunties. So yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Wonderful present. I believe, Husna, but you have concluded, right, Husna?
Yes.
Basically, you're done. Okay, okay. Then that's good. Okay. So let me see. There's so many comments there. I don't know what are you people talking about. Blah 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 blah. Okay, okay, okay. I think, and writing. I don't know. People are scared to share the information and they write in the what they call in the book. I think writing spreads more virus. So I always scan. I'm paranoid in that manner. So anyways, a very important topic, a very interesting topic. The way you uh, the way you brought upon the topic, you discussed it, you went through it, and it's very important. Just for your information, you see, when we are faced with something that is you're not familiar with, you're not used to doing, Awanku, you can stop recording. So something that you're not used to doing, for example, this online class, when the online